The team that believes in what they're doing and they're doing it for the community, that's a culture worth fighting for. An employee shared with me how proud he was to work for Fidium. You just saw such great pride in that young man's face. That's really impactful. I mean, you feel that.
I love that. Lynnelle Long, Fidium's Chief Human Resource Officer, she's scaling purpose, values, and pride into a culture that truly powers the business and keeps people all in.
We've been through some challenges in Pennsylvania with storms coming through and knocking out Wi-Fi. What I saw in our employee base was they came together. Didn't need to be told what to do. They rallied and they made it happen. You cannot be successful without bringing the team along.
It really sends a message to the broader community that people matter at Fidium.
When we instill the right values and purpose in our teammates and they bring that to the customer every day, makes the experience a lot more positive for the client. The small businesses and the communities we serve now have an opportunity to compete with Fortune 500 companies. If you're not using Fidium and it's available in your community, let's fiber up together.
What makes a culture so strong people would fight for it? Lynnelle Long, Fidium's Chief Human Resource Officer, is proving it's not luck, it's actually by design. She's scaling purpose, values, and pride into a culture that truly powers the business and keeps people all in. This is how you build the kind of workplace that no one wants to leave and every customer wants to believe in. Welcome back to Breakthrough Leaders. I'm your host, Ben Fanning. Let's dive in. Lynnelle, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hello, Ben. Great to see you today.
So how do you design a culture people want to fight for?
I think it's simple. It's clarity of purpose. Why we exist beyond just delivering a product that many others could deliver too. When I think about purpose, it's embodying the values we put together. It's creating that real pride in the work that we do. What's incredibly unique, I think, about Fidium is that many of our teammates live and work in the communities that we serve. Some of them have spent their entire lives there. And I think what makes it unique is they see the impact through the eyes of their loved ones, the people that get home to every day, their neighbors and their friends, and also the businesses that they frequent with their families, the place they go to dinner on a Friday night. So I think that really transforms kind of the work of the job to me into a purpose. And I think that's a competitive advantage for us here at Fidium. The team that believes in what they're doing and building something together, and they're doing it for the community, that's a culture worth fighting for.
I love that. Yeah, it's really like I think about that word design, like it's been designed into the very fabric of the organization because the people work and they live in those communities. And when they bring fiber into town, everybody knows and they can wear that shirt with pride into their local restaurants and be like, hey, Fidium,
Yeah,
thanks for being here.
it is super exciting. And traveling to see our employees in the various markets that we serve, you'll hear that story over and over again. It's just really powerful around how, not only have they live in the communities, but the generations that have been part of our organization. We have an employee who I met in the elevator in Gibsonia, Pennsylvania, share with me how proud he was to work for Fidium because his father had worked for the company, and you just saw such great pride in that young man's face. It made me super excited to be part of the mission and the purpose here.
Wow. So how do you think about, because Fidium is growing so fast, how do you scale the pride? Because certainly if they've been in that community a long time and they've got generational connection to the company, I mean, that's really powerful. And now as you grow as an organization, how do you think about that from a scalability standpoint?
Yeah, I think it's important to constantly remind our teammates why we do what we do. And that is the core of connecting families, fueling the businesses in their community, and really giving the communities a strong foundation for growth. I grew up in a very rural community, and, technology took quite some time to get there. So when you remind our teammates or really align them with the why we're apart, well, what we're doing is super important. They understand, that grandmother that can see her granddaughter smile in a video call when they're an ocean away from them. That's really impactful. I mean, you feel that, right? And that teenage girl who always wanted to learn how to code, and her dreams come true in a way that is incredibly powerful. So I think we consistently learn about and hear about those stories as our technicians are out in people's private space, their homes, installing Wi-Fi. They get to hear about why it's important. But we're changing the way people interact with each other, um, beyond the communities we serve.
Wow. So, I mean, how many, like, it's just incredible, like the expansiveness of your team. How many people do you have now in your organization? I guess estimated. And
Yeah.
what do you think? I mean, like, what are you projecting? Because I'm thinking about this goodness of fiber spreading out, and what are these, and how many people are we talking about?
Yeah. We have approximately 2,700 teammates throughout the US. And, we do so much with this group of folks. And one of the most important things that we're working through is how do we continue to transform the business to make their jobs much more easier to get done, that we're easy to do business with. And so through that transformation, they get opportunities to learn new skills, they learn new technologies, they learn new processes. So it's been a really exciting time for me to be part of this team at Fidium.
Yeah, thinking about aligning that many people that are so geographically dispersed. If you had 2,700 people like in the same town or in the same building, it'd be one thing. But you're
Yes,
trying to reach people whose job is to be out in the field a lot of times, right?
yeah.
So how do you think about reaching them, getting them in moving in the same direction, and scaling
Yeah.
that?
You know, our job is connecting people, connecting communities, right? And connecting people. That's what we do at Fidium. So it is a tall order, but we really try to stay aligned with our leaders. That's our supervisors in the garages that the employees are coming into every day. We do a lot of things through video. We do things through SharePoint and others, but you have to use many different modes of communication to connect. And you also have to rely on the leaders on your teams to make sure they're connecting with their teammates. It's a tall order and not always an easy task.
Yeah, it's not. And I love how you're taking it so seriously. I think a lot of times, companies grow and the
Hmm.
employee groups also grow, and it's easy for leaders to start to lose touch with that because there's so many people moving in so many directions so fast. And I love the fact that you're being so intentional about it. Now,
Yeah.
um, one of the things that comes, we talked about purpose, and obviously purpose overrides everything and can be a great alignment vehicle. But how do you think about, like, when times are really tough, maybe there's like an urgent situation? I mean, how do you keep everybody motivated and keep them going when sometimes work can get to be a grind?
You know what's interesting about Fidium and the time I've been here and all of the interaction I've had with employees? Everyone at Fidium is headed in the same direction. Everyone understands the importance of our customer first environment. And anytime I'm in any meeting or any breakfast or having lunch with employees, you hear about the customer. And I think that really solidifies our goals, and it really helps stay aligned. Um, And in the tough times, and I've seen some tough times. We had we've been through some challenges in Pennsylvania with storms coming through and knocking out power and knocking out Wi-Fi. And I will tell you what I saw in our employee base was they came together. They didn't need to be told what to do. They rallied and they made it happen. And they had that service back up for the community because they live in that community and they know how important it is and how important Wi-Fi is or internet services to our daily lives. That was an amazing example of how you keep people together. If they understand where you're headed, it's quite simple, and you see it in the toughest of times come together.
Love that story. And I love the sense of pride people are taking in those communities to get things up and running.
Yes.
So how does Fidium celebrate? How does so when you get through the tough time, you get through the storm, you get everything back up in record time, and if maybe you're still thinking about that strategically, but like in your ideal world, how does Fidium? So how would you like Fidium to celebrate their wins like this?
I think it's important in these kinds of examples that you spend time saying thank you to your employees. You can have celebrations and we have lunches or breakfasts or, monetary rewards. But to me, it's a simple, I care about you. Thank you. I heard something that you did great and I want to share how much I appreciate that. We have some tools internally, and one is called Achievers, and it's a platform that you can just say thank you or you can celebrate a win across the organization. And as you said, we're very dispersed. So we had to find a way to do that in a collective way. And we've had over, I think, 1,300 or 1,800, attaboys and thank yous from a colleague to colleague. So those are the things I think that are meaningful. Of course, compensation and rewards are always important too, but it's that I care about you moment, I think, that makes a difference.
So you've had a terrific career. Looking back and maybe thinking about your career, thinking about what you've seen, and even thinking about the marketplace as it stands today, what's a move that maybe some leaders get wrong about culture?
I think the biggest challenge in culture, and I learned this early in my career, is particularly in a transformational culture. In an organization like Fidium and many that are going through technology transformation, digitalization, automation, we forget one of the most important elements, and that is people. You cannot be successful without bringing the team along. And to be honest, early in my career, I made some mistakes in this area when I was trying to transform HR and, use technology. And I thought, we're just going to push it through and get it done, and had to take a step back and ensure that the team understood why. Also, what the impact would be to them, meaning their day-to-day work, their job security, what was going to happen when the transformation was complete, having the confidence. Sometimes, they lack confidence in their ability to learn new technology or learn new job skills because they had done a job a certain way for many, many years. Just building up confidence in your employee base is so important. You also have an opportunity at times to co-create that plan, bring them along, bring them into the planning stage, give them responsibilities along, the change so that they feel they can embody the change, they can embody the new, whatever it is you're trying to do. My mistakes helped reshape how I lead today. And I think many leaders have to focus on that transparency, the communication, empathy, and as I said, bringing people along early. If I've learned that change, when I learned that change sticks, you feel part of it and you're supported in every step of the way. And that has to be intentional. And when you're trying to check task off a list on a project plan, we forget about the human side of it sometimes. And so I think it's real important for companies to focus on that.
Really like that. And it's a real message. Just you even being on the show, Lynnelle, it really sends a message to the broader community that people matter at Fidium. Because the reputation of HR in some organizations is they only bat cleanup, right? Or they they get called when something messes up at the end. And they're like, oh, we forgot to include the people part of this whole transformation.
We might still get those calls sometimes, Ben, but
It still happens sometimes.
we still hope, we'll dig you out of your ditch that you created occasionally.
Right. So it still does happen.
Yeah.
And it's important also. I think it's really cool that you're engaged up front in this. You're in the field. You're not in the ivory tower, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're really out with the organization, because it's funny. It's like, well, what's the foundation of Fidium? Everybody's going to say, well, it's Fidium fiber. But I suspect you might have a different response to that.
Well, of course it's fiber because that's the product, right? But the real foundation is the employees, the people, the teammates that actually are out there day to day installing fiber, building out fiber passings, doing accounts payable, managing sales, closing the financial books. Like, it's everyone that is touching the business that makes it a success. And we are just so fortunate to have a great product to set in front of our clients. But, without the people, that's the real engine that makes things work.
So thinking downstream all the way to the customer, who might be watching this and saying, hey, I got Fidium fiber, or hey, I got a fiber provider. It's not going so well. Okay. Or hey, I still have copper. How does your, like the stuff we're talking about with purpose and the passion and the community, how does all that, do you think, show up for them, the end customer, at the end of the day?
I think when we instill the right values and purpose in our, teammates, and they bring that to the customer every day, it makes the experience a lot more positive for the client. When I'm out and about, as you've mentioned, seeing our employees, they talk about the customer experience when they're trying to solve a problem or they're bringing ideas to us. It's always about the customer. I mean, like, it's embedded in who they are. And I think that really makes us special, and that is why customers enjoy doing business with us and why they're super excited about Fidium.
Yeah, it's so good. And it goes back to what we initially talked about hey, you're like, hey, our customers are the people doing the work. Like they and their families, their churches, their organizations, their schools, they benefit from what they're doing, versus, hey, we're bringing a bunch of people who don't know anybody in the community and they're just doing their job, versus, hey, they're there to make a community impact.
Yeah. It's so much fun when you're out with, doing garage meetings in the morning and you're spending time with a particular employee and they're like, hey, my sister works here. This is where my dad worked. My cousin, oh, I saw my cousin today. I didn't realize he was working here. It's just really fun to see the community come alive.
Yeah, it's so good. You're like, man, I want to know everybody in this community. Like, when you go in, you're like, actually, I'm not here just to meet the Fidium team. I'm here to meet the extended community.
I want to know. I'm absolutely interested in learning all about their lives.
Do you ever when you go to these communities, have you been to any particularly memorable restaurants? Like the things that maybe you would not have known about otherwise, but because you're plugged in with a local Fidium crew.
Yeah, I will tell you, I met a group of our teammates in Portland, Maine, and they turned us on to this great donut place.
All right.
And it's like, it has been there for decades, and so we went over and got donuts the next morning. But, every community is so unique and different. And, I'm quite a foodie, so I like to try, the food, the community, and if you're in Mankato, the farm to table restaurants are very popular. And, Portland, Maine is the best seafood. And, French fries on your hamburger in Gibsonia, Pennsylvania. I mean, we just had a lot of fun,
You are a foodie.
trying
You
to.
remember all of these little
I am a
spots.
foodie. I am.
So when Lynnelle comes to your town, dial it in, y'all.
Yeah. Let's talk about where you and your mom eat for.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh man, so fun. All right, so you know that the rally call right now is all about fiber up. How have you
Oh
seen
yeah.
fiber up emerging, and where have you heard it, and how's it played out for you so far?
Yeah. So we just rolled it out with our employee base, and they are super excited. It is just bringing energy into the company in a way that I couldn't have even imagined. It's powering up our life with connection is kind of how I view it. And hey, you can count on, connection you can count on. But what I love about it and how I embody it or think about it, it's about lifting communities, businesses, and families to new possibilities through the strength of fiber. And I think that's the case for our employee base as well. Now, as I said, many live in the communities we serve, and Fidium is also helping their families and friends.
I love that so much. It's a real call to action for people
It
to
is.
think about how they connect to their communities, how their
Mm-hmm.
organizations do. And I think it's so important that we as leaders think about how we can deepen that connection. And
Yeah.
as you're casting your I'll say like long range vision for
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
what's possible for these communities in Fidium, what does the world look like when there's more fiber up Fidium throughout the U.S.?
I think about it from the perspective of those small businesses and the communities we serve now have an opportunity to compete with Fortune 500 companies for customers or a product. I mean, that's pretty amazing. I think of, you know, having, as I mentioned, grown up in a rural community that my family still lives in, you know, being able to get adequate health care sometimes is a challenge. And having the ability to, call up your doctor on your phone on an app because Fidium Fiber has made sure it's powered appropriately and getting the health care you need, I mean, that's pretty impressive, versus traveling hours and hours to a doctor's appointment, and in some cases, not even being able to travel. So I think we hit every aspect of a community, and I think it's pretty beautiful.
All right, y'all. You have heard it directly from Lynnelle. It is time for you to fiber up and get connected. Lynnelle,
Let's go.
what's your parting thought for our listeners? Feel free to take it any way you like or anywhere you'd like to take it.
Well, if you're not using Fidium and it's available in your community, let's fiber up together.